Kia ora yogis, I hope you're well. So today we're going to do some poses to help release tightness in the hips. And if your hips are quite tight, it's a good idea to have a couple of cushions just to support you. And if you have a long pillow like a bolster, this is quite a good size. Otherwise you can use a blanket, rolling up a blanket or a beach towel will help. So we'll start on our backs. Lay yourself down, make yourself comfortable. Have your knees bent to begin with. Make sure your spine is in a straight line, tucking the chin in a little, and then lengthening your left leg out so that it's straight, and bring your right knee up towards your chest. If that feels quite tight for you, then bend your left leg, have your left foot on the floor, gives you a bit more space. Just feeling length through the back, you may need to adjust the head as well. Squeezing that knee up towards the chest, taking a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. And just starting to settle into your body. Feel the back of the body working downwards as you exhale. Feeling length coming through into the lower back. Relax the shoulders and the jaw. And then take your right hand to your kneecap or just around the outside of the knee. Your left arm is down by your side. And then slowly circling that knee out and round. Keeping the movement soft and flowing as you exhale, bringing the knee up towards the chest. As you inhale, the knee moves away from the body. So starting to find a nice flow with your breath. And sometimes you might feel areas that are a little bit stuck, or it just feels too difficult to move in certain places. So just work around those tighter areas. It's important not to force or struggle too much through the yoga poses. So really honor your body where there's tightness or injuries. It's important not to create pain. There should be a healthy edge or a healthy stretch in the body. And from there, changing direction, going back the other way. Just exploring the movement. You can take that knee out wider if you wish, towards the floor and across the body. Keep finding that slow, even rhythm with your breath. Do one more circle there. And then bring the foot back to the floor, slowly lengthen the leg out. Feel free to give that leg a little bit of a shake, loosening, feeling any difference between the left side. When you're ready, bringing your left knee up to the chest. So easy option is to hold behind the thigh, or if you feel comfortable, interlacing the hands, fingers around the front of the shin. And again, if you feel a bit tight in the back, then bend your right leg and have your right foot on the floor. Okay, just checking that the neck is soft and lengthened, squeezing, breathing out as you exhale. Feel that sense of softening down towards the floor, finding length and softness. Breathing in through the nose. One more deep breath in and out. Allowing gravity to release your body downwards. Then bring your left hand to the knee, right hand out by your side. Slowly circling the knee out and around. So the movement is coming from your hip joint, large ball and socket joint. So we have quite a good range of movement, hopefully. And if not, these movements will really help to benefit the lubrication of the joint. Try to keep the leg heavy so that your hand is creating the movement. Again, finding a rhythm with your breath, exhaling as the knee comes towards your body, and inhaling as you take the knee away from you. Changing direction, going back the other way. Keeping the mind focused with your body and breath, easy for the mind to wander off. So if you notice that happening, gently bring it back. Do a couple more circles. Bring the knee back to the center. Slide the foot back out and lengthen the leg out along the floor, just giving it a little bit of a shake if you want. And then bending both knees, bring the soles of the feet to the floor. If you feel that there's a little bit too much arch in your lower back, just lift the hips and slide the tailbone down a little bit so you feel that the length is coming through that back area. Taking your right foot across the front of your left thigh, and make sure your ankle is on the outside of that left thigh. Lifting your left foot off the floor, and if you find that that's difficult to do, you can put a couple of cushions, or maybe if you've got blocks or books underneath that left foot to give it some height. That's an easier option just to support it. See if you can hold the back of your right thigh, keeping the shoulders and head relaxed on the floor, and then drawing the right toes towards your right knee, so flexing the foot. This helps with the knee joint. The lower leg of the left leg can be relaxed down. And then slowly guiding the left thigh towards you so that you start to feel a stretch, usually around the outside of the gluteal muscle area. And slowly breathing into it, taking the breath into where you feel that tightness. So imagine that you're guiding the breath and creating space. If you find that your leg has come closer towards you, you might want to bring your hands around the front of the shin, taking a little bit more of a stretch there. Long deep breaths. Keep the right toes pointing towards your right knee. Your left knee should be in line with your left shoulder, so just check that alignment's there. Sometimes it's easy for the hips to swing to one side. And with the exhalation, feel as though you're trying to move the sacrum, the tailbone back towards the floor, so trying to lengthen down into that space. One more long deep breath, breathing into where you feel any resistance or tightness, not forcing the stretch. Feel a sense of ease and softness as you exhale. Good. And then from there, just bring your left foot down to the floor. There's two options here. The easy option is to just keep that knee out wide, and then we're going to guide it over to the left. So keeping your left foot on the floor, rolling to the outside of your left foot, slowly take your legs over until your right foot touches the floor. If that's difficult, you can always bring a pillow, a cushion, and just slide it in under your left thigh to give you support. And if you want to go into that stretch a little bit deeper, then bring your left hand to the outside of the right knee. Just gently turn your head to your right, looking towards your right hand, extending your right arm out away from your body. And just keeping that guidance through your left hand, drawing the right knee over to the left. So you're opening up into that side of the hip. You might feel it down the outside of the thigh, the iliotibial band. We can often get a lot of tightness through that area. Try to keep that right shoulder softening back towards the floor. And as you exhale, just feel a subtle movement through the belly back towards the spine. So you're just finding length into that lower back. Breathing deeply into that right side. Allowing that right knee to maybe get a little bit closer towards the floor. If any of you want to extend into the stretch, you can straighten your right leg out along the floor and maybe just sliding your left hand down the outside of that right thigh, calf muscle, or maybe towards the ankle and foot. Again, flexing that right foot if your leg is straight, drawing the toes to increase the stretch. 2 more long deep breaths, really softening, allowing gravity to release the body down towards the floor. Letting go of too much effort. Just finding more of a yin style where the body is softening and releasing, allowing it in time and with the breath. When you feel ready, just gently bringing that leg back up to the top and bring your knees parallel, feet are on the floor. And before we go to the other side, we'll just gently roll the knees from side to side, just a window wiper type movement. Just keep the lower back pressing down a little to support the back. Good, and then just check that your feet are about hip width apart. Lengthen through the back. Bring your left foot across the front of the right side. Lifting your right foot off the floor, or if you need support, you can pop a pillow or a couple of cushions underneath to hold the foot high. Easy option is to take your hands behind the left thigh. And if you find it difficult to hold the thigh, you can always use a belt or a strap to give you more length. Moving that left knee away, so there should be a bit of a space there. So you take your left hand between your legs, threading the needle, and then holding the back of the thigh. Slowly drawing the right thigh towards you. Move the left toes towards the left knee, so you're flexing the foot to protect your knee joint. And the lower right leg is just relaxing down. Relax the shoulders, softening with each exhale. Breathing deeply through the left side of the body, through the left hip area, or where you feel the tightness. You're free to close your eyes and move that awareness into those tighter spaces. Deep breath. And one more deep breath in and out here. Sinking, softening into the exhale. When you're ready, slowly bring your right foot to the floor, keeping the legs in that position. Take your arms out to the side, and then gently guiding your legs over to the left until your left foot touches the floor. Again, if that's a little bit too strong, just bring a pillow under the outside of your thigh to make it a bit more accessible. Once you're there, if you want more of a stretch, you can bring your right hand to the outside of the left knee or thigh, keeping the left shoulder in contact with the floor if you can. Maybe turning your head towards the left, rolling the head into a comfortable position, and slowly guiding that knee over with each breath. Again, not forcing, finding ease and comfort at a healthy edge. And once again, just hugging the belly back in towards the spine to keep length through the lower back so you're not overarching the lower back. From there, if you want to go deeper, straighten your left leg out along the floor, slide your hands down the outside of that leg and maybe holding the ankle. Some of you might be able to hold your foot. Sinking down. Again, just letting gravity do the work here for you. Feel into your body where you might be holding on and see if you can soften those spaces. Noticing any subtle shifts through your body, really tuning in to those softer energies, sensations, releases. So one more long deep breath here, in and out. And you're ready, slowly just bending that knee as you bring it back up and over to the top. Just taking your arms back out to the sides again, and once again moving into that window wiper action. Turn your head the opposite way to your knees as you create the movement. You're inhaling as you bring the knees up to the center, and exhaling as you roll the knees to one side. Keep going from side to side. The next time you take your knees over to your left, hold it there, just letting gravity do the work here. And if you're not really feeling much of a stretch around the outside of the right hip or thigh, then you may want to bring your lower leg, your left leg, on top of the knee or thigh to increase the stretch, and feeling length coming from the hip away towards the knee, so as though you're stretching away from you to find that length. Can be quite intense, so if that intensity builds up, then simply release that top leg. Also be aware that you're not overarching your lower back, so tug the belly in a little bit just to support the back. Letting your head roll to the right, just feeling a little twist come through into the neck as well. Feel free to close your eyes and that awareness into where you feel sensation, and imagine that you're guiding the breath and maybe guiding the prana, the life force energy, into those spaces, energizing, opening up the energy channel. And then slowly coming back, so release that top leg, bringing that leg back up. And before we go to the other side, just bring both knees up to the chest, releasing the lower back. You may even want to do a couple of circles each way, just to soften that area. And then bringing your feet back down to the floor, arms out to the sides, guide your knees over to the right, turn your head to the left. You can stay there if you're feeling enough of a stretch, or feel free to bring that right foot on top of the left thigh, slowly creating length away from your left hip down towards the left knee. So really opening up the IT band here. So research is showing that we can store our emotions in the connective tissue, and there's a lot of this tissue around the hip area, also around the gluteals, the glute muscles, around the buttocks, and the sacrum, the tailbone. This also correlates to the Sacral Chakra, the energy center situated around the pelvis and the sacrum. And on a psychological level, it is said to be the seat of the self, or our emotions, relating to our emotional intelligence, how we deal with our emotions. And this is developed in our early years, from about 6 to 24 months of age. One more deep breath here. When you are ready, slowly bring that top foot off the left thigh, and then gently guide the legs back towards the top. Taking the knees out wide as you bring them up towards you, you can hold the shins or the back of the thighs. Is a little bit easier if that's difficult for you. You can just keep the thighs close to the calf muscles, or if you want more of a stretch, just bring the soles of the feet together. You can hold around the ankles or the feet, or you may need to hold around the backs of the outsides of the legs to be accessible. Just drawing the feet towards your body. Even holding underneath the heels might be a little bit easier, and use the arms against the inner thighs, gently guiding the legs out to increase the stretch. So play around with it, find what works best for you. As you exhale, push the knees outwards as you draw the feet towards your body. Keep the neck comfortable. Breathing deeply. One more breath here. And slowly releasing the legs down. And then we'll roll over onto our side. Just coming up to a sitting position. And grab your pillow, a long pillow or a rolled up blanket or a towel will work as well. And then just come onto your hands and knees and take the blanket so it's just behind your feet. Come forward onto your hands. Take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and then using your hands slowly sink back. So take the knees out wide and let the heels come down into the blanket or the bolster, so it just gives you a little bit of support. If you find that you're not really feeling much of a stretch, then you're welcome just to move that pillow away. And just gently sinking down. If you find the squats are really difficult for your knee joints, then please don't go down into a deep squat. And also if you're in the early stages of pregnancy, it's not a good idea, or the latter stages of pregnancy as well. Another option also, if you find this difficult, is to come to a wall and just make sure, take your feet away from the wall, so you're just leaning your butt into the wall. You can slowly sink down halfway, and that's a good way to do it. Also, if you want to go deeper, you can just bring your hands to the floor and slowly sink back, so you can lean back into it. You might need to adjust your feet. You can also sit right down on the floor. That's another way of starting into the squat. So just you can sit with your legs out straight and your back up against the wall, and then bring your feet up towards you. Take the knees out wide until you feel that stretch coming into the hips. So lots of options there to make it accessible for your body. Just taking a couple more breaths there and a deep squat. So if you feel steady enough, you might want to try bringing the palms together, or you can use the arms to take the knees out wider, lifting the chest. So from there, see if you can tilt the body forwards. If you can't, then just sit back onto your butt. And if you come forwards, just come onto your knees, bring your knees so that they're hip width apart. And just turn the tops of your feet over, just sitting back into child for a moment, neutralizing the spine. And taking 3 long deep breaths, breathing into the lower back and around the hips as you exhale, just letting the hips sink back to the heels. So once again, if you find this pose difficult, use cushions or blankets underneath you to prop yourself up. You can even be quite high with lots of cushions and just have your hands forward that way, slowly allowing the hips to sink down. Feel free to lower the head down if you feel comfortable. So when you feel ready, slowly coming back up, and going to come into deer pose. So a little bit of angle brain work involved here. So to begin with, have your right side so that it's in line with the long side of your mat. And then bring your lower leg out at about a right angle. If that's difficult for you, then once again, you can prop your knee up with a pillow, or you can just keep your foot a little bit closer. And then your left thigh is at a right angle across the mat, and then the lower left leg is in line with that long side of the mat. So again, if it's jamming in your hip area and it's just not comfortable, you can just bring the heel a little bit closer, or you can straighten the leg out a little bit to take off that stress in the hip joint. And then turning towards your right side, you can support yourself with your hands, and Then just gently folding forwards if the body allows. So I'm just going to straighten my leg out and just getting a little bit of cramp there, and sometimes that can happen. So it's important to honour what's going on for your body. And then from there, you might find that you can fold a little bit deeper. You might want to go to the elbows. Some of you might want to go a little bit lower, but just taking it at your pace. There's no pressure here. And if you want, you can bring one fist on top of the other, resting your head on the fist. So if you're not really feeling much of a stretch, then you can straighten that left leg out and bring your body over the front of your shin. So that really deepens into that right hip area. You can also fly that right foot down a little bit, so you're coming into more of a pigeon pose. So that, again, you can just play around with it and find the best stretch that's working for you. So this is a little bit deeper into the psoas muscle as well. So we're aiming to get the left hip forward and down. Again, if you're really tight, you can bring a pillow underneath your right buttock to lift the hips up and just take that pressure off. Again, just feel free to stay high if that works best for you. Or coming right down to the floor is the deeper option. So 2 more long deep breaths here. Again, tuning into any subtle shifts through the body, or maybe the need to release a sigh as the body shifts energy. And then from here, just keeping that right leg bent, see if you can just gently roll back and bending that left leg, and just coming back around so that you're sitting with your left leg out wide and your other heel is in towards the pubic bone. Again, if you're really tight, you can bring a cushion underneath that knee, and if it's hard to get that other leg straight, then you can bend the knee and just bring a pillow under it like that. Coming into a side bend, so take your hand down the inside of your straight leg and raise the other arm upwards, finding a vertical height there, breathing deeply. Keeping grounded through that hip, really try to sink down towards the floor and the side. And then if the body allows, you can begin to come over to the side. So easy option is just to keep your hand wide, supporting yourself with your hand. And if your straight leg is back a fair way, you might want to bring the elbow to the inside of that thigh. And slowly coming deeper, keeping your neck long. If you want, you can create a little bit of movement through the neck, looking down as you exhale and inhaling up towards the ceiling. If you need support for your head, you can bend your elbow, bring your hand to your head, and rest your head in your hands if you're down that low. Again, just feel free to close your eyes, finding your healthy stretch, breathing through that open side, the top side. Smiling a little, just lifting the corners of the mouth, finding some inner smile, some inner comfort or joy within the pose. When you're ready, push down through that straight leg to help you lift upwards, using the arm as well to help you come up. And then exhaling as you relax. So bringing that bent knee up towards the ceiling, just to get the alignment, and then straightening that leg out, just giving the leg a little bit of a shake, or you can bend the knees and roll the knees from side to side. And we'll move to the other side now, into deer pose. So lining up your left thigh with the long side of the mat. your lower leg is at a right angle, or if that's too difficult, just slide the heel back a little. And then you take your right side, so it's going across the mat, and then your lower leg is in line with that long edge. Sometimes it helps just to lift up and slide that left hip back to create a bit of space. And again, if you need support, you can pop a pillow under that left knee. If it's jamming or cramping in the hip area, just lean over to the left and slide that leg back a little bit. And we'll just take the pressure off. You can start here, turning your body towards your left knee, just folding over, and that might be enough for you, that's fine. If you want a little bit more, just keep folding deeper until you begin to feel it through the outside of the left thigh and around the hip area. Letting the neck be long, relaxing. Just find a position that works for you. Then if you want to rest your head down, another option is to bring the heels of the hands together, just cupping your hands as you rest your chin in your hands. And you can close your eyes here. Find the breath at the nostrils, deep, long breath, and again, visualizing that breath flowing into those tighter areas. Wherever you feel that resistance, breathe deeply into those spaces. You can stay there in that pose, or if you want a little bit of variation and maybe finding different places of tightness, then just slide that right leg back, coming more into a pigeon pose. Check your knee, left knee is in line with your hip. And you can make it more difficult by sliding that, keeping that left leg further forwards, or just slide it back towards the groin and rolling that right hip over towards the floor. Feel free to support your hips with a pillow underneath your left buttock. Make sure there's no stress on your knee joint. So again, just tuning in, finding comfort within the pose. Noticing that there might be a difference to one side, and that's very common. So tuning into any subtle imbalances through the body without any judgment. Yeah, just letting gravity help you sink down. A couple more long, deep breaths here. Allowing any thoughts or distractions to come and go. If you notice that your mind has wandered off, bring it back to the breath. Slowly rising upwards, taking your time. And then just bending your back leg as you roll back on. You can take your hands behind to support you. Just you lean back a little bit and just turning that knee around and just straightening the leg out. So bringing that left heel in towards the groin, your right leg is out. Again, feel free to soften with pillows underneath the knee or the back of the thigh. Okay, and then just moving into that side bend, Janu Shirshasana. So your hand goes behind the straight leg for support as you inhale the other arm upwards, reaching out to the fingertips as far as you can, just relaxing the left shoulder down, slowly coming over to the side. Keeping that left hip grounded. Take the inhale out through the top side of your body, breathing deeply. And if you want to go deeper, bring that elbow to the inside of the leg, or you can just rest your hand on the top of the leg if that works better for you. You can use the elbow as a little bit of a lever to pull back into the leg as you rotate that top shoulder up towards the ceiling. Feel free to look up to the ceiling, or you might want to exhale and look down, getting a little bit of rotation in the neck, and inhale as you look up, finding length through that top arm. A nice deep stretch here, really opening into some of the lower back muscles as well. Feel free to support your head with your hand if you're quite low. You can bring the other hand towards the ear or behind the ear for support. Closing your eyes for the last few breaths. Guiding the breath into the tight areas. Breathing long and deep down into the belly. When you feel ready on your next inhale, press down through that lower leg, inhale the arm up, and slowly raise the body up. Raising the bent knee up towards the ceiling, just straighten the foot forward, and then extend the leg out. Bring your other leg in, bend the knee, and again just gently roll from side to side. And turn your head the opposite way to the knee, getting a little bit of movement, loosening the neck. Okay, from here we'll bring the feet forward so that they're parallel. Have a little bit of space between your feet, so I call this the diamond Baddha Konasana. Roll the hips out, and if you find it difficult to sit in this position, feel free just to bring a pillow underneath you and sit towards the front edge of the pillow. That just really helps to bring the pelvis tilt forward. So you can hold the knees if you need support, if your hips are really tight. And as you inhale, feel space coming up through the front of the body. And then exhale as you slowly create a bit of forward movement. Another option, easier option, is to take your hands behind you. That helps to keep the chest open and also gives you a bit of support. Slowly coming down with each breath. And if you find that you've come a fair way forward, feel free to bring the hands to the shins, or you can slide into the feet. Keeping the neck long, so the gaze is towards the feet, as though you're trying to lengthen your body forwards and over your feet. So rather than rounding down and curling the chest, it's nice here just to keep a sense of space and openness through the front of the body. And finding the softening as you exhale. You may want to take your hands wide, or if you're down quite low, you might want to try and slide your hand in underneath the knees into tortoise pose, reaching through to the fingertips, letting the head come lower down. So one more long deep breath, softening, sinking. When you feel ready, very slowly coming back up. No rush, just take your time. And then bringing the knees back up towards you. Coming down onto your back. Keep your knees bent, move the tailbone towards the feet as you slide down. And just take a moment here. Feet can come wide as you rest the knees together, or you can just simply have the knees parallel, just letting the body absorb that last pose. And then from there, walk the feet together, the soles of the feet together. You can use your hands or the pillow under each thigh Just wedging it into wherever you need that support. If you feel okay, then just let them sort of release down without support. If you want more of a stretch, bring the soles of the feet together, closer towards your groin. Or if you want to just decrease that intensity, move the feet slightly further away. Taking the arms out to the sides, arms are at a right angle, the upper arms, and then bending the elbows, sliding the lower forearms back. Try to keep the wrists on the floor. I'm just getting a nice opening through the chest. Chin is slightly tucked in. Taking some deep breaths here. So as you inhale, try to feel as though that breath is coming from the belly all the way up the front of the torso to the throat. And as you exhale, the breath and softness is gliding back down to the belly. You might want to also take that awareness of breath a little bit lower, right down into that pelvic area. This is relating to the Swadhisthana energy center. To feel as though the breath is coming from this womb area, from this space, this womb-like cauldron of awareness and energy. Breathing from this space and up through the body. Exhale. Allow the full weight of the body to release down. One more breath there, in and out. And slowly sliding your hands down by your side. Some of you may be comfortable and you can gently slide the feet away from you, very slowly lengthening the legs out and start to separate the feet and just laying with your feet hip width apart. Just come into Shavasana here. So if you don't want to do that way, then from having your knees out wide, just use your hands to guide the knees upwards and then lengthen the tailbone as you slide the legs out along the floor. If there's any tightness in the lower back, feel free to keep your knees bent. And simply resting here for a few breaths. Softening down through the head, the shoulders, the arms, down through the torso, the belly and the lower back and pelvis area. Feel the legs and arms heavy. Allow the full weight of your body to completely let go. Allow the body to integrate the postures, being aware of the importance of Shavasana after deep stretches. Simply watching the breath come and go out of the nostrils. And feel free to stay here for as long as you like. And when you feel ready, going into your day. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like it below the video, and if you wish to receive more videos on a regular basis, then you can subscribe so that you're notified when these videos come through.